Hello everyone, this is Elonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Elonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired. Because of Go Cloud Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the Go Cloud team.
All right, everybody, welcome to another Cloud Career Q&A session with us at Go Cloud Careers. My name is Chris Johnson, and I am the Chief Operating Officer here. So let me give you a quick rundown. Well, first of all, let me thank you all for being here. So it's actually a holiday for us over here in the United States. So just wanted to acknowledge that. If there's some of you that are here because it's your day off, thank you for joining us. If you're here and it's not your day off, thank you for joining us. But we are here for you, even though it's a holiday. We are here for you. So, as I said, my name is Chris Johnson. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here, and we're here to answer your questions. We're here to talk about your cloud career questions, your cloud architect career questions, your cloud engineer career questions. So if you've got questions about the cloud architect job, the cloud engineer job, what is a solution architect, how to become a cloud architect, anything and everything that's cloud career or cloud training related, we're here to help you. We specialize in helping people reach their dreams of becoming the ultimate cloud architect, as well as helping others who maybe they don't want to become a cloud architect, but they've got the necessary skills but can't quite figure out the interview. We're also helping helping individuals with that as well. So we're here to take your questions. So let me introduce everybody. We've got Mike Gibbs. He is our founder and CEO. He's been in tech for 25 years, and he's held elite architect positions for 2 decades as a network architect, an enterprise architect, a cloud architect, and a business architect. And then next, we've got Alonzo, our Chief Marketing Officer. He's an expert on marketing, branding, strategy, and leadership, and he has 30 years of marketing experience with major global organizations and has led major cloud projects. He helps our students build that elite brand that makes the world come to them. And then, as I said earlier, my name is Chris Johnson. I bring 15 years of HR and corporate leadership experience to the table. So between the three of us, we've got 50, nearly 60 years of combined experience, and we're here to help you. We all hold MBAs. We all have skills from extensive careers to help you not only get hired, but put you on your path to long-term career success. So, and today we're going to take your questions. I see we don't have any questions yet in the chat box, but I see that there's people here. So make sure you ask those questions. You came here for a reason. You saw that this was going to be a question and answer session. So you came here. Make sure to ask us your questions so that we get them answered before we run out of time. So I want to remind everybody that Mike has helped so many people build elite tech careers, and he's got such a reputation and is in such high demand that it costs $1,200 per hour to speak with him on a private consult. And that currently has a 4-month waiting list for that private consult. But we're here to speak to you free, take your questions for free today, hopefully give you guidance and give you some clarification. Whether you do training with us in our programs or you just hopefully the clarification that we provide you, and you take that and maybe you do something on your own, whatever, as long as it helps you, we're here to answer your questions. So don't hesitate. Make sure you ask the questions. I've got a couple of things that I want to remind everybody about, but before I do so, I'll see if Alonzo or Mike has anything to say.
I guess I'll begin, and I may say this a lot, but it's really key. Any of us can accomplish literally everything, anything we ever want to do. And for most people, and I've been coaching people for decades now, the thing that gets in their way is one of two things: fear, or just not knowing the right direction to go. And that's why I'm like to hear. For example, we train a lot of cloud architects, and many people come to us and they've been training DevOps and SysOps and coding and Linux. Great for somebody else's job, but it's not part of our career. And I've seen people that have spent tens and $20,000 and $30,000 in 2 and 3 years learning engineering for an architect job. And that saddens me. Likewise, people ask me, Mike, if I train to be an architect, can I work an engineer? And the answer is no, because architects and engineers are so different. And it's about training for the job you want. Training to be an airplane mechanic doesn't teach you how to fly an airplane. And all of you can achieve any career you want. Literally all of you. There's no one in the world that can't be whatever they want to be, if they put the right effort, build the right plan, and get there. And I want to help you all get there. So please understand, even when you're told no, you can get to yes. 13 doctors told me I'd never walk again. 13 of them. They also told me I'd never sit in a chair again. And I'm here with you right now. And I've helped countless people build their cloud architect careers and work at every major company, from AWS to Azure to Google to Deloitte to Accenture to Capgemini to JP Morgan Chase and Apple and all these wonderful, and KPMG and all these wonderful companies. And you can all do it too. I promise you, every one of you can. Just go do it. Go after it and go build the career of your dreams. Now, a lot of it's guidance. A lot of it's knowing what to do, getting the right training and the work. So we're here to help you. I'm here completely free. Like Chris said, unfortunately, I wish it wasn't the case, but it's $1,200 an hour to speak to me, and there's an over 18-week wait. So that's why I come online free. I bring Alonzo, who's my chief marketing officer, that's such an expert at building brands that our students don't even need to apply for jobs, and generally the world hunts them out. Chris has got more HR and operations experience, and he helps me, and he helps so many of our students too. So ask us your questions. And you got a team of people that's willing to do anything they can to help you here right now for free. So ask your questions. Alonzo, over to you.
Definitely, Mike, we are here to help you. We're here to definitely accelerate your career, specifically your cloud architecture career. We want to make sure that everyone understands questions can be answered here. Any assumptions about the industry can be answered here. We want to basically remove the chaff from the actual wheat and get you on the path of career success immediately, instead of taking all these specific pit stops that a lot of industries and a lot of other cloud, other instructors try to tell you have to do. So we're here to answer your questions, and we're ready to roll.
All right, Mike, I had to mute you. You were trying to destroy our eardrums there. So while we get ready to get to the questions, let me tell everybody about a couple of things that we have. So first thing that I want to remind everybody about is that every Thursday, so this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern and next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, or as I like to call it, the How to Become the Ultimate Cloud Architect webinar. So that is a free webinar for everybody to join. We're going to share with you how we train people. We're going to share with you how your experience matters, or the lack of experience, the perceived lack of experience, if that's an issue. We will discuss what hiring managers are looking for, and specifically what hiring managers are looking for in the cloud architect. We'll discuss about HR and job descriptions and what weight those actually hold compared to the actual job itself. And then, of course, we'll take any and all of your questions, just like we're going to do here. But you can actually come on screen and talk with us off mute. So make sure to register for that webinar. We're going to be doing it this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that will be free for everybody. Also, I want to make everybody aware that we're continuing our discount countdown. Currently, we have up to 50% off on our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. This program is regularly priced at $24.99. With the 50% off discount, you can get this for a limited time for $12.49 one-time payment, or 3 consecutive equal monthly payments of roughly, I think my math is horrible, it's around $440 or 450, 3 equal consecutive payments, 440 or 450, somewhere in that range. You'll see it as soon as when you're looking at the program. But yeah, so this is available for a limited time with 50% off. And once the 50% off is gone, it's gone. So with this comes over 500 hours worth of content, over 150 or roughly 150 live classes a year. I tried to pause for effect there. I don't know if it came across, but 150 live classes for an entire year for less than a 2 days pay of the average cloud architect. Average cloud architect earns roughly $200,000 a year or $800 a day. And right now for $12.49, you can enroll and get access to 150 live classes, where, as an example, right now, our architect class is on their second week of designing a solution for a real-world scenario of a cloud architecture, connecting external partners and integrating their security and all of the availability that they need for all of the services that they require. And they do this, and they're doing this. They're presenting their solutions tomorrow, actually. So, and then this Friday, just as another example, we've got 2 college professors coming in and doing a class specifically about how to make decisions, making the right decisions, making the best decisions, I believe is the name of the class. Last week, we did a class on resume and branding. Next week, we're going to be doing classes on networking and I believe commitment and follow through and dedication. We cover everything, not just tech. We cover the soft skills, a lot that everyone else ignores when it comes to what the cloud architect needs. So we've got that discount available for you. Take advantage of it. And then also this Friday at 3:15, we're going to be doing a Winning the Interview webinar. And we're going to share the secrets with you that we've learned over the course of our careers of what it takes to win the interview. Because the interview can determine so much, not just you getting the job, but the difference between the lowest paid person and the highest paid person in the same role can be $50,000 to $100,000 salary easily. And it's not your experience. It's how you do on the interview. If you do well on the interview, if you win that interview, if you excel on that interview, you will be earning more than your counterparts. And it sets the base for everything after that. Your compensation is based off of that. Your benefits are based off of that. Your bonuses are based off of that. The next promotions that are based off of that. So if you start high because you did so great on the interview, not only are you going to get the job, but you're going to get it at a higher rate of pay. So join us for that webinar so that you can learn exactly what it takes to win the webinar or win the interview. Sorry. All of these links are in the description in the chat box, of course. So make sure to take advantage of those. Let's get to this first question here. I've done enough talking. So Dan and Jay says, I wanted to know how to become a cloud solution manager. Where can I learn about this? What path to follow and what certifications to do? I got to unmute you, Mike, because you were messing with your microphone. There you go.
I'm going to take this because we need some serious clarification. You need to tell me what you mean by cloud solution manager, because it could be one of 10 different jobs. A cloud solution manager can be someone in operations that maintains the thing, that's more of the maintenance person. A cloud solution manager could be somebody who manages architects, like cloud architects. A cloud solution manager could be someone that sells things, like an account manager. So could you please tell us exactly what you mean by cloud solutions manager? An architecture manager, an engineering manager, an operations manager, a salesperson, because lots of these jobs have manager in the title. And when you tell me that, I can give you an answer. I'm going to tell you one thing. Certifications have nothing to do with any elite job. And if it involves any management, any architecture, or any leadership, certifications are not the key. Now, we can tell you exactly what is the key, but none of those things are the key. For example, when I worked at Cisco, I had a job title of Customer Solutions Manager, and I was a management consultant. There were enterprise architects that had the same title. There were project managers that also had the same title. There were engineers that were distinguished engineers, grade 13s, that were also had the same title. And we all had completely different jobs. So the word manager can mean anything. So let me know if you mean people manager, anything related to project management, anything related to sales, anything related to managing architects, engineering, or operations. You tell me that and I can give you the exact path, and I would be more than honored to do so. But without that, it's guessing. And I don't ever want to guess on somebody's career. I want to be very definitive. So please let me know what you mean by Cloud Solution Manager, because that could mean anything, and then I'll happily give you the best path.
All right. Let's see here. Next is It's Me, Lola. I wonder if your program is available on all platforms. All I see are AWS and Azure. Will this curriculum aid in my quest for an Oracle solution architect position?
So let me start with this. It's me, Layla. All clouds are the same. It's a network and a data center that's been virtualized. And our training gets people hired on the AWS cloud, the Azure cloud. Our students even build their own cloud from scratch. So of course it works on the Google cloud. Of course it works on the Oracle cloud. Understand that the Oracle SA positions are by far the lowest paid in the industry. Just keep that in the back of your mind. But if you have a desire or love for Oracle, that's great. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So the answer is, of course it will be. So I'd like you to think of a cloud as nothing more than a grocery store. And if you needed to buy eggs, does it matter if you bought it at Aldi's, Gennardi's, Whole Foods, Publix? No, you just go and buy eggs. So with any cloud, you're going to learn the same thing. For example, if you truly understand how the cloud works, and we're talking about virtual machines, for example, it doesn't matter if it's a VMware ESXi virtual machine in the data center, a KVM virtual machine, a Citrix Zen virtual machine, an AWS EC2 instance, a Google Compute Engine instance, an Azure virtual machine, or an Oracle virtual machine. It's the same thing. It's identical. And if we're talking about block storage, it's the same across clouds. If we're talking about object storage, it's the same across clouds. And guess what? So keep that in the back of your mind. Now, it's me, Layla. I also want you to realize that, one, being a solution architect is really not the goal in today's world. It's to be a cloud architect, and I'll explain to you the difference. An Oracle solution architect can only work for Oracle. Oracle doesn't have that many jobs. A cloud architect can work for anyone. JP Morgan Chase Bank, Goldman Sachs Bank, for example. They could work at Target, they could work at Best Buy, and here's why we train differently. 81% of customers use more than one cloud. Now, I want to make it clear that the tech companies are not your only option. And I'm going to tell you why they're probably not even your best option long term. A couple of years ago, over at Goldman Sachs, and they have lots of cloud architects there, the average employee received a $600,000 bonus. That's right, a $600,000 bonus. And whether they were bankers or cloud architects or network architects, they all got it. That was the average. So keep it in the back of your mind. By staying generic as a cloud architect, you can work for AWS, and we've got lots of students there. You can work at Oracle, we've got people there. You can work at Deloitte, we've got people there. In fact, we just had someone, his name is Roy, who got a senior cloud architect job at Deloitte, and he never worked in tech before in his life prior to our program. You can work at Microsoft or Google, and you can work at Oracle, you can work at the Alibaba cloud, and any cloud you want, because it's all the same. So if you wanted to get carpet, you can go to the carpet store, Home Depot, Lowe's, or a flooring store. Guess what? Same thing with clouds, and what we teach applies to all clouds because we teach the cloud. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Mike is saying there. It's important to not focus too much on one thing. It's like focusing only on this Coke Zero product. If I went to the store and said, I'm absolutely only going to drink a Coke Zero and nothing else, and I get to the store and there's nothing except Dr. Pepper, and then I find out that there's nothing except Dr. Pepper for 50 miles around me, am I going to drink the Dr. Pepper, or am I going to give up because there's no Coke Zero? I'm going to get the Dr. Pepper. Like, I can't be focused only on Coke Zero and only Coke Zero. So we take, like Mike said, we teach the cloud, and we teach the fundamentals of the cloud and the network and the data center, and it's applicable to everything. Oracle utilizes the same fundamentals of cloud networking and data center is what's the basis of Oracle. That's the basis of AWS. It's the basis of GCP. It's the basis of Alibaba. It's the basis of everything. So that's what we teach. And then we've got the veneer or the icing of AWS and Azure. And we have those there because those are the two primary certifications out there right now. And we know that there's a reality to that certification helping you get the interview, but that's about as far as it goes. So that's why you see the AWS and the Azure, but the other stuff is there. It just doesn't have a fancy name like AWS and Azure, so it doesn't stand out. We have a whole curriculum of the introduction to the technology, but it does not say Azure or Blob or AWS and EC2. It says virtual machines and containers and storage and software-defined networking and LAN and WAN and all these unglamorous terms, but they're the ones that actually matter. So yes, I just wanted to piggyback on that.
And if I can piggyback on that and hit JoJo's question at the same time, and JoJo's saying everybody else teaches platform specific, and there's a reason we didn't do that, JoJo. So prior to starting this company, I interviewed over 1,000 AWS certified people. And I asked them basic architecture questions, and not a single one was hireable. And the reason was, if you're going to bake chicken, let's say you're Greek like me and you want to make this chicken souvlaki recipe. And if nobody shows you what is chicken, what is olive oil, what is oregano, what is salt and pepper, and they just say make souvlaki, you can't make it because you don't know what an oven is or any of these things. So if you don't learn the underlying infrastructure, guess what? You don't know anything. And that's what happens is all the people that do certifications first, they know the name of the service and how to configure that. And an architect doesn't configure anything as part of their job. They design, present, and sell technology, and they don't know how to do it. So intentionally, we do it this way. And this is why we've got students with zero experience working at Azure, AWS, JP Morgan Chase. Who else takes our people with no experience? KPMG, Deloitte, Accenture, Capgemini. We've got students that are working at Google. We have students that are working at Apple and every other amazing company, big bank you can possibly imagine. And that's a way we do it. So let's go to the next question.
So we got some clarification, or I'm assuming it's clarification. We'll find out. Dan and Jay said Cloud Solution Manager is technical architecture in his mind, it sounds like.
Okay, so Dan J, I want to get even more critical. Technical architecture is really engineering. So do you desire to do engineering where you're all technical all day long, or you desire to do actual architecture, which is meet with a client, ask about their business goals, their business pain points, their business challenges, and then design a solution for them, sell it, negotiate it back to them. I will tell you the difference. There can be a $200,000 to $400,000 difference each year between cloud architecture like I'm describing versus technical architecture. So I want to be really clear because technical architecture is all about engineering and cloud architecture is all about solving business problems. So since you're a little loose with the terms, let me get a little more specific in there. Do you want to design the end-to-end solution or do you want to be the hands-on tech worker? Because a technical architect is really not an architect at all. I was one early in my career. And what the technical architect does is only focuses on the technology. And they're kind of like a super engineer that focuses on the technology, will it work, how to performance tune it. Whereas an actual cloud architect or more of an enterprise architect focuses on starting with the executives, asking about their business, getting their business goals, business pain points, and business challenges, and then thinks about the people, processes, and technologies necessary to improve that business. And then from there, builds this line to improve the solution to improve the business, builds a team of architects, technical architects, engineers, security architects, big data architects, network architects, and they coordinate and lead the whole thing. So if you could tell me that. In any case, it has absolutely zero to do. Okay, so now you're telling me you want to design end-to-end solutions based on business challenges in the chat box. Excellent. Now I can help you. So now you're talking about being a cloud architect. Now that we know your actual goal, two things. One is I'm going to invite you to my Thursday webinar, how to get your first cloud architecture webinar. And then I'm going to tell you right now what you need to know very briefly. So what we really do as cloud architects is as follows. We ask businesses about their business problems. We then figure out a plan to move what they have from their data centers and their private networks to the cloud. So if you don't understand business, you can't be an architect. And I'm going to tell you right now, this job is 50 to 80% business and 20 to 50% tech. So the first thing you're going to need is extremely good communication skills, and they're not going to be taught in a certification. And here's why. If you get the customer tells you about their business goals. So you need to be excellent at communicating. Now you also need to be an expert at what's called communicating with executives. They call it CXO relevancy. You're going to need to ask the chief information officer and the chief executive officer what are their business challenges, and you're going to need to speak business and relate to them. So you're going to need CXO relevancy. The next thing you're going to need is business acumen or business knowledge, because you can't solve business problems without business knowledge. From there, you're going to have sales skills, and I mean serious sales skills. Why? You're going to have to sell the customer on the design that you build, and when you meet with the customer, the solution is going to be so complicated, you're going to need to sell your internal management to give you 15 to 50 engineers for the next 6 months. And that means building a business case as to why you need these people, because every architecture of the kind that I do takes $20 to $50 million of engineering time just to design it. So it better be worth it to the company. So then you're also going to have to convince the customer they need to buy your thing. And when I design billion-dollar solutions, and I design lots of billion-dollar solutions, and my customers adopt them all the time, I have to show them that if they're going to spend $1 billion on what I'm designing, it's going to deliver $2, $3, or $4 billion in business value. Why? They could spend their money somewhere else. So those are the business skills. Now you're also going to be presenting at conferences. You're going to have excellent presentation skills. In fact, for one of these jobs, you're going to have to deliver a presentation as part of the interview. And you're going to need executive writing skills. And now we cover the business piece, which I'm going to tell you is 50 to 80% of the job. And people that get 10 certifications don't have these skills. They don't even know where to begin. Now you're going to need network and data center skills, which are cloud skills, by the way, which means you're going to need to know servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration, storage area networks, for example. You're then going, like block storage, object storage, file storage, you need to know databases and what to use and when, relational databases, NoSQL databases. You're going to need to know which enterprise business applications solve which enterprise business problems. You're then going to need to know modern security things, because you can't use that cloud security stuff or you'll be hacked within 5 minutes. So you're going to need to know about next generation firewalls, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems, VPN concentrators. And then you're going to need to know the networking things, which is BGP, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, WAN technologies, when to use a VPN versus a private line versus software-defined networking versus a SASE solution, switching, which means VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, port channel, ether channel, link aggregation groups, and NAT, and not the kind of silly nonsense in an AWS advanced networking, but I mean serious NAT, one-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAD, and all these things would happen when one business buys another. DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy, ARP. Now, that's what we teach in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. So there's a couple ways you can get it. You could take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program and you'll be fine. And by the time you'll be done, you'll get hired. Or you can do what I did. And the reason I made this program is not everybody can afford to spend the $325,000 in education that I did to get these elite architect roles. So if you are with us, you are covered. If you're not with us, you can get the business acumen from an MBA program, or you can do what I did. I did basically 2 MBAs, and then I had to take between $50,000 and $100,000 of leadership skills, and we teach all those special leadership skills, which are not covered in an MBA, and the executive communications with us, and it's all part of our program. You're also going to need network and data center skills and that kind of training. You can get some of that training from Cisco, and you can get some good training from AWS. They can actually teach things, and Azure can teach things as well. Don't waste your time on any of these Udemy things. They're taught by people that have never had the jobs, and they don't even know what they don't know. So it's a waste of your time. So train with us, or you can get an MBA and then get good networking training from Cisco and good cloud training from Azure and AWS. Nutanix has some good training as well, and IBM OpenStack. And then you could read about storage area networks And then you could read about next generation firewalls and intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems, and learn about databases. And that you could build it either way. Now, we'll get you there better, faster, and cheaper. And the average cloud architect in America earns $800 a day. A good one easily earns more than that. And even in India, we've got cloud architects earning $5,000 and $6,000 a month or more. And every day you're not working, at least in America, is costing you $800. So we can get you there a year sooner than you ever could on your own, at least. So at least in America, that's worth about $198,000 for you, getting you hired a year faster. But you can do it either way. And now you know the path, either with us or without us.
All right. So our next question says, how long in general would someone with IT experience can land a new job, as in how many months?
It all depends on you. And first, you didn't tell me what kind of job. I'm going to work on the assumption it's cloud architect, and if it's not, I need you to tell me, yo, bro. And the second, so it's going to depend on how good your communication skills are. Meaning, are you used to presenting to C-level executives? Have you ever built a business case? Have you ever sold something to someone that's over $50 million? What is your IT experience? If your IT experience is configuring, you're going to need to start from scratch and learn. Because, for example, a construction worker, for example, that actually builds a building doesn't know how to design the building. So, and it all depends on how fast you learn and how many hours. I will tell you, for example, you said cloud architect in the chat box. Great, thank you. I would tell you that with people that have no experience, it takes us about 8 to 12 months. And for people that have experience, it typically takes 6 to 12 months too. Now, the exceptions are network architects or network engineers. And network engineers are generally at an advantage because the cloud is nothing more than a network in a data center. And networking people have a big advantage. So if you've got a networking background, and I mean the kind where you're designing things versus configuring things, you'll get there sooner. But I'd say it takes about 6 to 12 months. And that's what we're seeing with our people. Now, I had Richard Afukar work for, he had no experience in tech, got hired by AWS in 3 weeks in my program. I had, for example, Joe Millen, but he was a networking person. He got hired by AWS as a senior solution architect within 3 weeks. And then we had Daniel Bosa, who didn't graduate high school. I love the kid. I always say I wish he was my own son because he's such a nice guy. And he had no tech background, and he was in our program for about 6 months of retraining before we got him hired. But I'd say 6 to 12 months. But you have to remember that the average cloud architect earns $199,000, and you guys can go to salary.com right now and look at a principal solution architect at Google, which earns $508,000 a year, or a principal solution architect at this is according to Glassdoor, at AWS, which earns $380,000, and a principal solution architect at Microsoft, who also earns around $380,000. And when you're dealing with $200,000 to $500,000 a year salaries, it takes some serious training. And engineering training does not prepare architects. That's why I've got people with 30 years of engineering training that I'm retraining, because it's a different career. But we could easily get you hired as a cloud architect. We could put you in a very good place, and I know that you would be thrilled. But that's why it takes 500 to 700 hours of training in our program. We're not some simple certification training program. We get results. And companies beg to hire our people, and our people don't even need to apply. But it's going to take 6 to 12 months of hard work in our program to transition from just working in the tech side to building an elite role like this.
And one thing that I definitely would like to interject about, it seems to be a trend when people, they want a name brand cloud architect position. One thing that I need everyone to understand is that if you look at Glassdoor, just a generic cloud architect who understands the generic agnostic cloud is making over $199,000. However, I just did the research for just a specific cloud service provider, which is focused only on their technology. An AWS cloud architect is making almost $30,000 less by being specific on that cloud service technology. So it underscores what we talk about every day. Don't focus on a particular cloud service provider in their technology. Focus on the technology itself that all cloud service providers rely on. Different name, same technology. But if you want to pigeonhole yourself, focus on that, which I'm being sarcastic. But the thing is that you need to diversify your portfolio by learning the tech in itself, not just what they call it under their name brand and their proprietary service. So I just wanted to share that information with everyone here.
Yeah, because I mean, look at what a minute of downtime can cost millions of dollars to a bank, and they can't do single cloud. A healthcare organization can't do a single cloud because if they put all their eggs in a single cloud and the cloud goes down, people die. So that's why there's a lot more money for a cloud architect that knows the cloud versus somebody that just knows a single cloud.
So our next question, do CCNAs not hold as much weight in the job market as they used to with everything seeming to move to the cloud?
I'm going to address this.
Is that a cat?
Yeah, I was going to say the cat is beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make this very clear. Certifications don't hold much weight in the job market at all. None of them. And here's the reason why. When I did the Cisco Certified Internet Expert, it was a hard 2-day exam. And 3 million people had attempted it before I took it. And I was the 6,400th guy to pass. And that's why my number is 7417, because they started counting at 1028. Right now, I could get any certification I want. I could pay somebody to take my exam. I could buy a copy of the exam. And there's all these silly courses on Udemy which teach you the exam and teach you nothing about your career. I have asked thousands of hiring managers, and you can see some of the VPs and things. They don't even care if you've got a certification. It's meaningless to them. So here's all a certification can do. Help you get an interview. And then somebody's going to grill you on what's in the certification. If you don't know it, they don't know it. So what I would say is no associate certification ever holds much value. CCNA never held much value. Certified Solution Architect Associate never held much value. In fact, to put it into context, when I started my tech career, I did this. I became an MCSE, a CCNA, nobody cared. The company told me I needed a CCNP, so I took a 10-day, $11,000 CCNP boot camp. Then I became a CCDA and a CCDP. I had applied for 5 jobs, and I got rejected by all 5. And I'd spent close to $25,000 on certification training. And then I spoke to 50 recruiters and asked them what hiring managers wanted, and I built a massive list. Guess what? 2 months later, after knowing what the hiring managers wanted and learning those things, I was hired as a senior, with a senior role. So no certification holds much value right now because you can buy a copy of the exam. There's these Udemy mills out there which teach you the exam and teach you nothing about the job. And you can now pay people to actually literally take any exam you want for you. So no certification holds much value. And the certifications that used to teach you how the technology worked got replaced with, let me do what's called vendor brainwashing. Let me teach you how to do all the things. For example, let's say you do an AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. They'll tell you all about DynamoDB and Amazon Aurora. 81% of customers are multi-cloud, so you can't use either one of them. Then they'll tell you this garbage ECS, a container management platform. Guess what? You can't use that multi-cloud either. They're going to shove all this WAF down your throat for security. And guess what? You can't use that multi-cloud, and it's not adaptable like a next-generation firewall, so it's not sufficient for real security. Then when you're in these things, they'll teach you to use CloudFront as your content delivery network and an AWS certification. Now, Amazon themselves doesn't just use CloudFront because it's not enough. They use Fastly, Akamai, and CloudFront. So pretty much what they teach you in certifications, almost what not to do. And even Amazon won't use half of the things in their certifications because it's not good enough for them either. So certifications don't hold a lot of weight. They're more vendor brainwashing right now than they actually are training. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is.
All right. So our next question, how does one become a solution architect in the banking sector in the African region? As a solution architect, should one focus on a singular cloud environment or all the cloud technologies, e.g. Salesforce, Microsoft Azure, or AWS?
Okay, great question. So first, we've got lots of students. We've got plenty of people getting hired in South Africa and other places. We've got a lot of students in Nigeria, Cameroon, and every other country you can think of. And boy, what a country that's got so many, what a continent that has so many smart, educated, wonderful, hardworking people. So the key is you have to learn about banking. How does the banking industry work, for example? How does the banking industry make money? How do they make money on lending? How do they make money on equity? So first, you actually have to know the industry. And then you need to understand the technology. Now, I promise you, in banking, you're going to be dealing with 50-year-old mainframes, still today. You're going to be dealing with data center technologies still today because they can't put it on the cloud. You're going to be dealing with tremendous networking technologies. And you're going to be dealing with a lot of hybrid clouds because in certain parts of Africa, it's not possible to use multiple clouds. It depends where you're at. South Africa has some pretty good choices. Nigeria has some very good choices. So Cameroon's pretty close to Nigeria. There's some good choices there, but not all parts of Africa are created equal when it comes to actually the clouds and the clouds that are there. But you must know networking because you're going to be dealing with lots of private networks. And the internet routing in Africa is very complicated compared to the rest of the world. You must know data center technologies and you must know cloud. So don't, for example, think that you can just learn about an EC2 instance. It's meaningless. You need to know what a virtual machine is and how they're created, because you're going to be dealing with some VMware virtual machines, I promise you, or some Citrix Zen virtual machines. You're probably going to also deal with some EC2 instances, which are just virtual machines on AWS. You possibly will deal with some Azure virtual machines as well. Or you'll be building a private cloud like an OpenStack cloud or a Nutanix cloud. So you're going to be dealing with that too. So first, learn banking. And that means you need the business acumen, the leadership, and the sales skills, executive presence. Then learn network in the data center. If you know the network in the data center, then you learn cloud. And then master the cloud. And that's really the key. But you need to master design. So when you do a certification, it's configuration. I've been an architect for 25 years, and I don't touch the tech because architects don't touch the tech. Wallace Agana a week ago, who we interviewed, another cloud architect. He was Nigerian and he's now living in England. Guess what? Doesn't touch the tech. We interviewed Delray Bad. He's from Granada. He's like a kid to me too. He visits me in Florida all the time. We love him. And he doesn't touch the technology. We asked Ivan Tamba, Cameroonian, who's was a graduate of ours at AWS. He doesn't touch the technology. We also asked lots of architects, and I know thousands of architects, and none of them touch the technology. So develop deep design skills, deep networking skills, deep data center skills, and deep business skills, and you will have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful career. And I encourage you to. It's the best job I know. And you can work not only in the African region, you can work remotely for other parts of the world as well. And I really encourage you to do it. I think it's just a great, 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 great career. Either you, Chris, or Alonzo, want to say anything there?
I think I agree. I definitely think that you putting forth the effort, being able to manifest your career, and it doesn't matter where it is. I mean, personally, I love financial architecture. So the possibilities of all this happening is going to be realistic. And especially, I'm not sure exactly where you are in Africa, but just as a reference, AWS and probably associated organizations are starting to branch out in Lagos, Nigeria. And I'm sure there'll be other opportunities on the continent for you to be successful. So I think that's a great place to start. And I think you can be really successful when you focus on architectural design, being able to understand the technology, what it does, when you would use it, possibly research examples of how businesses are utilizing that architectural in different styles and formats, and being able to communicate that effectively. I think you're going to be in a very great place.
All right. Let's see. So Sudeep asked, not sure if this is a relevant question. Have you known any of your students getting cloud hired if they are on visa?
Many of them. Absolutely.
Lots.
Many of our people are on H-1B visas and have gotten new and much better jobs. It happens all the time. Plus, we've also had people like Arun, who was living in India, that got brought over to Canada and now has a wonderful job over there. We have Benedict, for example, who's Nigerian, who just moved to Canada from Nigeria. So we have lots of people on visas getting jobs. And we've got lots of people that are getting work visas because of the skills they learned in our program as well. And also lots of people getting remote jobs.
And I think this might be relevant as well. I think a lot of people are probably nervous about such a influx of layoffs in the FANG industry. And a lot of that might not necessarily be reflective of cloud architects, okay? A lot of those people who unfortunately lost their jobs, they were engineers.
Yeah.
So when you think about the difference between an architect and an engineer and what is required of that, you're going to be in higher demand. And a lot of companies, they're going to be willing to pay top dollar and do what's necessary to get the top talent, which means getting your H-1Bs, getting your visas and everything else so that you can work for them, because they'd rather have you work for them as you work for, instead of you working for a competitor.
And actually, Alonzo brought up a really great point. And I want to talk why even in the middle of the tech layoffs, our students are getting hired every day and architects are still getting hired.
Yes.
So when it comes to layoffs, there's two kinds of people. There's people that generate money and people that cost money. Mm-hmm. As an architect, you bring in money. So for example, when I worked as an architect and I'd meet with a client and generate a $100 million deal, I just brought in $100 million of money to the company. Now the engineers actually build it. They cost money. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if your engineer is in the Cayman Islands, Chicago, California, Cameroon, or Cape Town. It doesn't matter. But here's what does matter. The cost of them. $200,000 in the US is equal to $56,000 in India when adjusted for salary. So if I'm a company, I need my architects to go meet with my customers, but I'm going to lay off my engineers and hire somebody in India or Africa. Why? I've got so many people that want to work, that are highly educated, that are incredible engineers. And it doesn't matter where they live. Now, the architect, for the most part, has to go meet with the customer where they live. My engineers don't matter at all. And not only this, we can now use AI to replace cloud engineers. I demonstrated a few weeks ago. I wrote a Python script, CloudFormation scripts, Terraform scripts, and I can do 90% of that with AI. And I can use one engineer to just tune the AI scripts, 10 of them. So architects are getting hired in droves right now. And as the technology, and I've got a video tomorrow on ChatGPT, which will explain even more about that. But architects are getting hired in droves. And the more complicated the technology is, the more you meet people like me that can put the pieces and parts together to help businesses solve problems. But engineers, oh, let me tell you, they're going to have a lot of trouble in their way, and there's going to be lots and lots and lots of layoffs. But architects are getting hired every day, and we're going to need many, many more of them.
But at the same time, if these roles are something that you're passionate about, then you need to make sure that you're doing whatever it takes to be the best at those roles. Because there's still going to be a need for the people in those roles, just not as many. And those that will be performing those roles are going to be the best that have ever been in that position.
Exactly. And the difference is AI can do 80 to 90% of engineering right now. And that's before Microsoft's $10 billion. But what AI can't do is they are not human. And that's the thing. So the engineer that's got executive presence and good communication skills and leadership skills and team building skills and emotional intelligence, I need that person on my team. The engineer that hides in the corner and codes and configures all day, I don't care if they're in the basement in Cambodia or if they're in California. The only difference is how much the company has to pay. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you want to be an engineer, you still can, but you need a lot of those architect business type skills to survive.
All right. Let's see. I like this. I always like this question. I'll start off. Sudeep says, after joining your course and going as per your recommended plan, how do we feel we are ready to apply for cloud architect roles? You'll know. Trust me. You'll know. When you start being able to do the class like before the words are even coming out of our mouths, or when you get bored in the live classes. Those are always good signs that you need to start applying. And
okay, I didn't know. I thought you were finished. It's hard to tell, but keep going.
I was just going to say, and one thing that I know a lot of successful people have done, and that we encourage everyone to do, and it's the reason why we emphasize the community aspect, is get friends, get connections, build relationships with people. They'll tell you. They will tell you when you're ready, and that you need to stop dancing around and do the work. Go get the job. If you've got the right people around you, which is what we that's the environment that we try to create. So,
but to be fair, you're probably not going to have to apply for jobs anyway. And what I mean by that is the reason we have a marketing executive with 32 years experience, other than he's one of my closest friends, Alonzo, is, and we weren't friends before I got to know him through our program. We trained him, got him hired in the cloud, and I begged him to come back, and Chris begged them with me because Alonzo's so magical. Most of our students get people reaching out to them every single day once they put Go Cloud Careers and do the resume work, which comes 2/3 of the way in the program.
Right.
Why don't we do it first?
The question's still important. How do I know that I'm ready?
Yeah. But why do we do it 2/3 of the way through? Because if you interview before you're ready, all you do is you destroy your chances with that company and you build a bad name. Once we do the work, you'll get bombarded with things, and that's when you're going to have to say, I'm not looking for a role yet because you're not ready yet, or you'll be ready. But to answer your question, when you're ready, you'll know. Class will start to become, oh, this is easy. I know what to do. Your peers like Chris would say, yeah, you're ready, but it's going to make sense to you. If I ask you how to design a secure DMZ for a critical web application, you're just going to have it in your head pictured. You don't need to think about it. And you'll reach phases like that where that's when you know you're ready.
All right, let's see. Any thoughts on that, Alonzo?
I agree. What we do, okay, let's unpack this. So once, for an experience, this is how you'll know. It's that you start off as a beginner. You're going to be surrounded by medium as well as advanced students. The beginner becomes the medium. The advanced becomes those who are cloud hired. And ultimately, you progress to becoming this advanced student. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to be surrounded by a lot of people who want to work with you. They want to test you. They want to be tested. It's just a proving ground of intelligence, of cloud acumen, of presentation skills, CXO relevancy, understanding the craft, understanding how it works, being around people who start to talk and speak the jargon, the communication skills necessary to be successful. So once you start and you continue to integrate within class, you're going to be able to ascertain what's going to happen before Chris or any of our other amazing instructors finish the task or allow the start of this project to take hold. You're going to feel it inside. You're going to know with confidence. The more you excel in the program, the less that imposter syndrome is decreased to the point that it doesn't even occur within you. You're going to know. You're not going to say you're an architect. You're going to be one. That is going to be who you are moving forward. So you're going to know. So continue to work forward. Join our course if you haven't started. You're going to be surrounded, inundated, immersed in tons of material that help you to transform into becoming a successful cloud architect. And at the end of that, you're going to say, Mike, Chris, Alonzo, Chow, Collins, Leo, everyone, we got cloud hired, because we get it every week. Either they'll say it, either they'll share it either in a text, in a phone call, in Slack, and even in one of our classes, that they have some amazing stories and some amazing news to tell. And we know that it will be each and every one of you. So don't delay, jump on in. We're here to help. I'm here to help. And I'm excited to hear that I got hired and I got this offer letter.
Yeah, I got semi-frustrated, but at the same time excited last week. I wasn't in a class, but one of the students, none of us were in the class. It was part of the project class this week, and And one of the students came in and shared with the whole class before they shared with us that they had got a job. And I start getting messages from people in class. It's like, so-and-so just got the job offer. And I'm like, they told y'all before they told us. All right, okay. So
We understand the excitement.
Yeah.
though.
We understand
get
the
it.
excitement. We all have our happy dance. You know, I got this message. It was Friday night at 6:49 p.m. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. And he says, I owe you so much. I'll remember this until I'm in my grave. By the way, there still isn't anyone on the market that offers what you do at Go Cloud Careers. Be sure to stay healthy because he knows I work so hard for my students.
yeah.
We had an
But
interesting.
when I get those kind of messages, it reminds me why we do what we do. You guys know the Canadian person I'm referring to.
Yes, we do.
But
With pride, because
Yeah.
he's awesome.
he's awesome.
All right. Here we go. Next question. I'm from the islands. Cloud is not even a thing here yet. On-prem is still the top solution. My question is, any cert path for someone starting from beginning in cloud?
Let's stop. There is no cert path. There's competency. Okay.
Yes.
One thing I want to share, JoJo, is that when I started on my path, everyone says, pick me, pick me, pick me. I've got the best cloud certifications. I'm the best cloud service provider. When in fact, it's all fallacy. Okay. No one cloud service provider is going to be the end-to-end, end-all, be-all, all solution providing for companies. They can't do it. Okay. So let's understand that portion right there. It's not about what certification to get. It's about the competency that is the foundation of what you need to be focused on. As we talk a lot about the cake, your competency is the cake. The certification is the frosting. If you don't have the cake, the frosting isn't much good. So focus on what the competency is first. Now, JoJo, we have people from the Caribbean, Jamaica. Where's DBAT from?
He's from Grenada.
He's from Grenada. We have tons of people who, although they may not have or may not be involved in the Caribbean dealing on site with the cloud. However, we have tons of Caribbean students who are still implementing cloud. They're in class right now, or rather in the community right now, and they're doing great. So don't let the assumptions get in the way of you being competent and you being able to be successful as a cloud architect. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that first things first, know the tech, know what it does, know what it is, when, how, and when you would use it. And being able to understand that, you're going to be able to apply that to AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform, Oracle, whoever. So understand what the tech is first, and then you'll be able to apply those certifications later on. And when you get hired, not if, you can have your own company pay for these certifications out of pocket without you having to deal with it. Okay. So
And I need to add to that, JoJo, there's cloud all over the Caribbean, if you're at least in a West Indian nation.
Yep.
There's people in Jamaica using the cloud. There's cloud all over the Cayman Islands. There's cloud in the Bahamas. Azure has that area blanketed, and there are many businesses in the Caribbean that are actually using the cloud. So the answer is yes, it's there. But there's also private clouds, which are clouds on premises that are in the West Indies, at least that part of the Caribbean. There's public clouds, which are Azure. There's AWS regions out of Miami that actually cover the Caribbean. So there's a lot more cloud in the Caribbean than you would actually know. The key is which businesses you're dealing with. Now, in the Caribbean, who's using the cloud for the most part? Predominantly bigger businesses and bigger banks. And in most cases, even throughout the globe, there will be on-prem and cloud that are combined. But the key is learn the network, learn the data center, learn the cloud, and you'll be in such high demand, because not only is the cloud there in some places, it's coming to the rest, and it's coming very aggressively.
Next question is, does a sales certification help in getting a job as a solution architect?
No, there's no certification that helps get a job as a cloud architect. There's no sales certification that's going to teach you how to connect to someone. There's no sales certification that's going to teach you how to be CXO relevant or how do you relate. There's no certification that comes out of a book that's going to teach you executive presence. Here's an example. Hi, my name's Mike. I'm a cloud architect. I work with Cisco. Versus, hi, I'm Mike. I'm a cloud architect with works at Cisco. They're just not even the same. They can't teach this. Certifications do not get you $200,000 to $500,000 jobs. Not at all. They just don't. They're fine for entry-level help desk jobs, but when you're dealing with big jobs, it's not about certifications. It's about the right skills. And these skills include design skills, sales skills, executive presence, emotional intelligence. Now, there's $10,000 to $50,000 sales training courses, and I've taken them. That will help you, but they won't give you a certification. Now, we teach that in our program as well, but no, there's no such thing as a certification that's going to get you a big job like an architect. Any job that pays more than most physicians and attorneys earn doesn't get done from a paper certification.
And just to say this, because I know we have other questions, Amir, ask yourself this: would you put a certification on the desk and let that be your ambassador of capability for a hiring manager, or would you want to move it to the side and be able to verbalize it yourself? That's the difference between competency versus a certification. Don't let that be the all-encompassing representation of what you want to share with the hiring manager, because you're so much more. So certifications are only the frosting. It's only the bow around the actual gift.
Yeah.
To put it in another way, a certification is pretty much saying, I'm just like millions of other people.
Yeah.
I can do what millions of other people do. So to piggyback on what Alonzo is saying, do you want the certification to do the selling, or do you want to do the selling? All right, double comment here. I'm ready to work for free, but literally no interview opportunity. I don't have any connection to begin with. Can you suggest where to begin with? I have 6 months learning AWS Solution Architect, and I'm confident of the basic understanding of most services.
Okay, I'm gonna take this. Knowing AWS services doesn't give you any ability to be an architect. So let's talk about what does. First, I could never give you free work. And here's the reason why I could never give you free work. I can't stick you in front of the CEO to ask the right questions, because if you do and he asks one wrong question, they're going to kick me out of there and I'm going to lose my $50 million deal. I can't let you do design if you're not capable, because why? You'll bankrupt the customer and put them out of business, and I've seen it done. So there's no free work. You're going to have to get training. What's in the AWS Certified Solution Architecture Professional is nothing. It's literally nothing. So you said you've known the services. So I'll ask you a basic question. I'm going to ask you why. How would you design the demilitarized zone for a critical web app? How would you load share across two equal cost direct connections without getting outer packets when there's different latencies on each line? How would you design the IP address planning for an organization that has 20,000 remote locations and uses the cloud? None of that's covered in a certification. I've got a supply chain that's slow, which is costing our organization $1 billion a year in terms of last revenue. How can you optimize that? You won't find that in any certification, but that's the job we do. So literally speaking, you're gonna have to get training. Now you could get an MBA, and that would give you 50% of the training that you would need to do. You could then go to Cisco and get serious networking training, not Udemy. That's taught by people that don't know never worked in it themselves. But you go to Cisco, spend about $10,000 on training for the Cisco Certified Network Professional. And then after that, you could go to Nutanix and get training that's done by them and learn how private clouds work. And after that, you could go to AWS and take some of their training, and they'll give you differently than you would earn in a basic certification program. But that's going to cost you $50,000 to $100,000. Or you could take a course like ours and you can get hired. But the key is, you can't volunteer for free. You can literally destroy someone's business inside of 5 minutes. And I've literally seen engineers get kicked out of CEOs' offices and fired on the spot. And these are people with 10 and 20 years experience of engineering experience, that somebody brought them into the CEO's office and they didn't know what to say, so they were fired right on the spot. So nobody can bring you in because there's too much to risk. So you're not going to find free. You're going to have to get the right training. And we get people hired every day. There's other people that can train you. Like I said, you can get the business acumen from an MBA program. You could. We even have 2 MBA business school professors coming teaching in our program. In addition to me, Alonzo, and Chris that have MBAs. And we've got somebody with an economics professor with a master's in economics. And we have about 10 other MBAs that are also part of our program as well that also help teach the business side of our students. That's how critical these things are. But no, you can't volunteer as an architect. Because if I bring you with me, you say the wrong thing, I just lost my job. So I can't, it's too risky. I can't let you design a system because you don't know what to design or not design because it's not taught in the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. And here's the thing. Most of what you need to use are not AWS services. So just knowing AWS services, I mean, I can't use any proprietary services. How does that work with multi-cloud? It breaks it. Most of the AWS security services aren't enough. I need to use things like a Palo Alto firewall or a Cisco next generation firewall. And it doesn't cover any of the skills you need. So we've got training that you could do. You could get training elsewhere, but understand what I suggest is that you learn the network and the data center. Learn BGP, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, switching, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, port channel, ether channel, VLAN, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, IP addressing, subnetting, supernetting, network address translation, one-to-one net, one-to-many net, static net, dynamic net, PAT, DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy up, servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration, storage area and networks, business applications and how they improve business performance. Databases and not the proprietary nonsense that's in a certification, but how do you tune them, architect them, optimize their performance. Next generation firewalls, the DS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, and of course, CXO relevancy, sales skills, business acumen, leadership, emotional intelligence training, and presentation training. That's what you're going to take. Once you get that, the world will be your oyster. You can do anything you want anywhere.
All right. So next question. How to know if the company is willing to sponsor your overseas MBA studies, as it's uncommon and it's more common to sponsor overseas work due to local insurance policies. I didn't realize that companies would reimburse overseas MBA programs. I've never come across that.
No, that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
I think they would. I think as far as sponsoring an H-1B for you to work for them is what they'd be willing to do. But until they understand a return on their investment, i.e. your performance and longevity in the organization, and then even then, it's what you would probably have to, for them to pay for your MBA, you would probably have to work for them possibly a minimum of 2 years. But I don't think that they would sponsor an overseas study program until they knew what type of employee you would be first. That's my experience.
And from
if you work for a good company like a Cisco or a Microsoft or a Goldman Sachs, they will pay for an overseas MBA program. You've got to ask them first.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
What they're going to pay for is not you to go overseas and study for 2 years.
Yeah.
They're going to pay for an executive MBA program. For example, Instituto de Empresa had a very good international business program. INSEAD in France has a very good one. And I worked for one company, and I asked them to let me take time off to go to one of those two. And they said, Mike, I was too valuable to take 1 weekend off per month. I said, goodbye. And I went to Cisco the next day. So the key is that. But when I was at Cisco, they would have done it. For example, but the key is you got to ask them. So it depends on your job. It depends on how good you are in your job, how needed you are in your job, and your company's tuition reimbursement. So you're going to have to ask your company. Most won't go overseas, but good employers will. So you're never going to know until you ask. And like Steve Jobs says, he found very few people that say no when you actually ask. So I would ask.
And to follow up on this, there's even companies that put it on their on their HR website, tuition reimbursement and investment or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a blanket. It's not a blanket policy. It's based upon approval. You have to submit. You have to go through the approval process, and there's no way to determine that. In the way the question is asked, it sounds like to try to determine it before being employed with them.
Yeah, that's
just not possible.
The positioning that I heard and even then, you would probably, before you get tuition reimbursed, you probably have to be in the position for a minimum of about 6 months, Chris?
It just depends on the company.
Yeah.
So Yobra says, how many hours a week of study do you need to put in
I answered
to
that.
make it the course? Yeah, you answered that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother, it was right up under there. Well, based on what your background is, and you told us that you have more free time to commit to study. So set up a daily study plan, a weekly study plan. Set up the time, set up the available hours that you're able to commit, and then spread that out over an expected amount of time. Now, as prior project management experience, give yourself a set amount of time. Let's average about 7 months from now, and then back into it about how many hours you think you would need per day, per week, or however your study time is, and you will be able to get an understanding of what's going to be the best way for you to study. But that's
Alonzo's long way of saying it's unique to you.
Yeah.
we get this question all the time, and we can't give a straight answer because everybody's different.
True.
You learn different than I learn, and I learn different than Alonzo learns, and Alonzo learns different than Mike. It's not that we can't give a straight answer. We just can't give a true answer because it's unique to you. It's unique to your circumstances, unique to your learning style. Even if we know how many hours you can commit, we don't know how you learn. We don't know, like, I can't learn the same amount of content in the same time span that someone else can. That's just how it works. And another person doesn't necessarily learn and retain the same amount of information in the same time span that I do. It's just, we learn differently. Everybody learns differently. So yeah, that's something that that you have to figure out. And a big part of our program is building your plan and adapting your plan when you realize that you may need to adapt your plan and revisit your plan after you've made some determinations on that. Let's see. Here's one for you, Mike. You mentioned that having a CCIE certification on your resume is a big plus, but would it be perceived as being too technical? I'm going to stop. I'm going to say this. If you don't already have a CCIE, then you should I would not recommend having that be your only goal. But Mike, I'll let you. I'll let you talk to that.
AQC, it's an interesting thing. I have 4 to 5 different resumes. One where I do strategy consulting. There's no CCIE on that one at all. One where I do technology architectures. I keep the CCIE on it because the CCIE had so much architecture training in it that people actually respect it. Now, I will also tell you this, AQC. I've had students that had these DevOps and SysOps and developer certifications. Nobody would hire them. I got rid of that stuff immediately, and then they'd be taken more seriously. So I have a rule. No more than 3 certifications on a resume. If anybody has more than 3 certifications, I won't even interview them. And here's the reason why. I know they're busy wasting their time on certifications and they're not learning. So the key is it depends on the job. Now, if I'm applying for a $500,000 architect job and I get these offers all the time without even looking for them, I don't put my CCI on it at all. I put my MBA and my MS degree on it. So it all depends on the role. But as a rule, the CCI is a pretty respected certification. And it's respected because Cisco would give you a design problem. Design an area that had routes redistributed from OSPF but didn't have any Type 5 LSAs. So you needed to know the architecture well enough to know that it needed to be a not so stubby area where a Type 7 LSA looked like a Type 5 LSA but wasn't. And because of that, it was very helpful for architecture roles because they knew you knew how to get into the weeds. But the problem is, it is too technical. And I actually removed my CCIE from half of my resumes. It depends which job I'm applying for. So for the bigger, higher paying jobs, I get rid of that CCIE faster than you can imagine. If I wanted to do a more techie role, I'd put the CCIE on it. So it's all based on the job you want. For some things, I put my medical background, like when I worked as a lead healthcare architect at Cisco. The fact that I was a nurse and a nurse practitioner and a paramedic was woohoo to them. But if I was going to apply to a Palo Alto for their cloud, I wouldn't be popping that on there unless I wanted to work on the security thing. So it's all about tuning the resume and what you have. So it can be helpful, it can be harmful. But anytime you get beyond 3 certifications, it's destroying an architecture career. I won't even interview somebody.
And there goes Mike. Mike will be back once he realizes that he closed the web browser. All right. So let's see here. You and I can answer this one while we're waiting on Mike. How soon in the course do we start creating infrastructure? Also, build a cloud.
Nice question.
See,
You want to go for it, Chris?
I'm going to start off with it.
I know you like that.
We purposely designed our course to prevent you from doing these types of things immediately, because when we first created the program, people started going straight to the tech and ignoring all the important stuff. They would go straight to the labs and skip all the soft skills, skip all the career development and planning and figuring out what they actually want to do, and went straight to the tech. So we purposely set up the program to where you can't do any of that stuff until you've already figured out what you want to do and put together your plan. So now, how soon in the course we start creating infrastructure and build a cloud? So don't know exactly what we mean by creating infrastructure. I'm assuming we mean design solutions. And I'm just going to go off on that assumption here. And now that Mike's back, I'll let Mike talk about this.
Yeah, so let's be clear. If you did no configuration labs whatsoever, you'd still get hired. In fact, when training architects, there's almost no point in touching the technology ever because it's not part of your job. So I want you to really think about this. We have building architects that design beautiful hotels. They design beautiful shopping malls. And guess what? Nobody trains them how to use a drill, a hammer, or a screwdriver. There's a different team of construction. And if you teach a building architect how to use a hammer and a screwdriver, they still won't know how to design a hotel because it's somebody else's job. So why do we even have the labs inside of a program, given that you can't learn architecture by touching technology? We have them for these reasons. The first reason is somewhere along the line, somebody's going to say, have you done this before? And you want the answer to be yes. So we have you do these labs so you can say yes. The second reason is, what do employers really want when they go to hire someone? Well, they want someone that can actually do the job, someone they can trust, someone that's energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work, someone that communicates well, someone that's willing to go above and beyond, and someone who's a team player. So you got 2 sets of people here. You got some kid, and I taught an 8-year-old little girl how to do it. She was cute as can be. I taught her how to launch an EC2 instance in an S3 bucket in less than 5 minutes. So you got some kid doing a Udemy lab that's setting up an EC2 instance. And you got our students to say they built the cloud. So when you speak this to the hiring manager, who's more competent? Something that an 8-year-old can do or someone that can build the cloud? Ours. Who's more energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work? Someone that did a Udemy silly lab, which is nothing, or someone that built the cloud? Ours. Now, who's willing to go above and beyond? Someone that did everything that every other ordinary average bear did, or someone that built the cloud? Ours. So a lot of these labs are for perception and resume purposes. They're not for how to be an architect. So personally, these labs would be the last thing that I would do because you can get hired without any of them. And many of our people never do the labs and still get hired. But if you're focusing your training on hands-on, you're not learning how to design, because how to use a hammer does not teach you how to design a 2,000-foot tall hotel. So keep that in the back of your mind. So somewhere around the 50% mark, we allow our students to actually touch the technology, because at that point, they're actually starting to learn how to design it. And it makes everybody feel good to touch the technology. Mm-hmm. And some people, it gives them a better perspective of what's going on under the hood. Personally, for me, it always made it challenging. I would take a class we'd configure all day, and then I'd want to go to design and knew nothing about it until I had to learn how to design differently. But I have it in there for those reasons. It looks really good, makes you look great to the hiring manager, and it gives you a series of things that the hiring managers can look at on your resume. and pull you in for an interview. And on the interview, you'll never touch the tech. There's no coding test, no configuration test. But we got to get you the interview. So it's part of the branding work. So that's why we have it in there. It's the least important part of the program. And that's why it's more than 50% in there.
All right.
Now, for an engineer, it would be the exact opposite. It'd be very
For Sudeep, so I'm guessing there will be some mock interviews during the live sessions, which will help us to evaluate ourselves. Yes, of course.
Of course there is.
I think we did that 3 weeks ago. You did some interview. We did some interview training. There's actually student groups where they do interview practices among themselves between people that are senior students, new students, people that are already working, that have already gone through the interview process. There's an entire coursework of interview preparation in the program as well. So definitely the interview is a big part of our program.
And also from day one, we actually start preparing the interview. There's certain questions we ask you on day one where we make you prepare a video, and our team guides you through that video. Some of those things that we have you do at day one actually are frequently in common interview questions. So from day one, we're building your interview, and there's a lot of presentation work because you'll have to do a presentation interview. And there's things that we do in our program, and we grade you and give you feedback on each of them. Our team people turn in an assignment on Slack, and then we give them feedback on everything. So we're building your interview from day one, and there's lots of interview training and mock interview sessions along the way.
Yep. The very first assignment is an About Me assignment.
Yep.
There's a reason it's first, because that's usually the first question on the interview.
Tell me about yourself.
Yep. And not only do you tell me about yourself, you have to write about yourself as well. So that's our very first assignment for everybody. There seems to be lots of mentoring within the class. Are there levels in the course when we start, or are we thrown into the fire?
Thrown into the fire.
You make it sound really, really scary.
No, this is not trial by fire. We start everyone as if you never touched the tech, if you don't understand cloud, and we start everyone from the ground up. So all we ask is that you bring your determination, but we don't automatically throw you into hub and spoke cloud architecture from a multi-global cloud enterprise platform. No, we don't.
But we do invite you to sit by the fire.
Yes.
At the very beginning.
Yes.
So that's the best way. If we're going to talk about being thrown into the fire, you are expected to come and sit by the fire and roast your marshmallows for a while and build your s'mores and have fun and listen and absorb and watch and learn. But you're not thrown into the fire. So, Mike, you want to?
And you have to realize that every day as a real architect, you're also going to be thrown in the fire. And here's what I mean. You're going to meet with one customer, and this is what it's like. I'll go talk to someone in my background as two specialties. I'm going to hear things in this meeting and say, uh-oh, I need a team of 50 architects. And I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to build my team of engineers. So while you're not exactly thrown into the fire, and you're expected to sit by the fire, you'll always be doing group projects with engineers and with architects with many, many, many years. Some will have many years experience, some will have none, and you'll be paired as a team. And that way, it's going to be just like the real world, where you're going to have some architect that's brand new, some architect with 20 years experience, an architect with 20 years experience that has no idea how to do this architecture, so they're relying on 20 other architects, and you will all share your knowledge, expertise, and partner on a design to build an end-to-end solution like you do every time in real life. So there's orientations in ways, in a good way, but you're going to be part of it, and you're going to be in it, and you're going to be deep in it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, he says he meant that in a good way. So, yeah. We're on the same page there.
I view it as a good way to be thrown in there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this question, do you have a framework to raise awareness of these job roles in the cloud so that as students, we know exactly what career to chase and get cloud hired? So we have plenty of content out there to tell you about the different type of architect roles. We've just recently updated our program and the structure of our program to also include some introduction to the technology courses, especially for those that aren't familiar with these roles and the technology that's used. We put those in front of the assignments where you decide what you want to do. The idea being that exposing yourself to the technology and our content that talks about the differences in the roles will better inform you in determining what it is that you want to do. But at the end of the day, it's what do you want to do? So the more information that we can put out there, which is what we're always trying to get more information out there about these roles. I don't know if there's a framework.
Well, I mean,
but
I'm going to try and pick up on this. People in our program get one job when they're done: cloud architect, solution architect, or enterprise architect. There is no framework. That's the only job that people take. I mean, that's not true. Some of them actually take, occasionally, we had someone recently interview for a cloud architect role, and they wanted to know if he wanted to be their chief information officer instead, because he had so much business acumen. But it's not like there's a career path. You want to be an architect, you train to be an architect, and you get your first job as an architect.
Right.
It's not like to be a doctor, you become a tech first, and then a nurse first, and then a doctor. You go to school to be a doctor. So I think a lot of people are being confused. There's a lot of people out there that would say, here, start at this low paid role, and then do this for a couple of years, and then go to another medium low paid role, and then do this for a couple of years, and then get something, and then hopefully one day you're magically going to be an architect. That doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is learning other people's jobs doesn't teach you this job. So really the key is, there's things you're saying, so that a student, you know exactly what career to chase. We only have one program right now, the Cloud Architect Career Development Program, and all it trains is cloud architects, solution architects. We do have an interview program, which is unbelievable, to not only help you master an interview, but eke out an extra $50,000 to $100,000 through negotiation and proper interview techniques. But that's it. So at least with our courses, there is really no option. You're done, you're working as an architect, and you get hired inside of our program. So I think there might have been our team, when we read it, we all read this question differently. So I hope I answered your question.
Now that you said it that way, I see what he's asking now. Yeah. And I just saw this. I went to Reddit the other day. I never go on Reddit. It's just a crazy place.
Oh, it's crazy.
I went on Reddit the other day, and I came across something that had the path to becoming a cloud architect, and I was like, there's 6 steps before becoming a cloud architect in this person's path, and I was like, oh my gosh, none of these are related to the job. Like one of them potentially was like a project manager or a business solutions manager or something. And I was like, okay, well that one maybe, but the other 5 steps along the way, I was like, how? Okay, that's like 10 years of wasted opportunity.
Such a farce.
The reason I don't go to Reddit is an architect's earning $300,000 to $500,000 a year if they're good. Working architects don't have time to go participate in Reddit groups. So the only people that are there are people that are hoping to get the job, and they're writing information about something they have no idea. So that's why I tend not to go to Reddit groups. I looked at it a few times. I got a headache instantly and went, not for me.
Yeah, I was looking for something else and came across that somehow.
It's a black hole of interesting and arguably invaluable information.
Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, I brought that up to talk about the framework or paths that people talk about becoming a cloud architect. Let's see. Next question. I have 1 year as a network admin. I'm guessing that's what net admin means. And now I'm a system admin for the last 2 years. Last year I passed the CCNA cert. Now I'm preparing for Azure 104. And my goal is to learn the skills and cert for freelancing. I'm not sure.
It's a lot of certification heavy.
You ask what should I do, but we don't know what job you want to do.
We said freelancing what?
Right. So what
Yeah.
I see net admin, I see system admin, I see CCNA, I see Azure 104, but we don't know what you want to do. So if you can let us know, Kumar, in the chat box, what you want to do, we can that's. I don't think we can start here at this point.
Yeah, and a couple of things is admin roles are basically somebody tells you what to do and then you go do it. For freelancing, you need a lot more than admin knowledge, because if somebody's not, the freelancing people won't have somebody to tell you what to do, so you know how to do it. So you're going to need a lot more knowledge to do freelancing. Plus, you're going to have some real jobs if you really want to do freelancing. And here's the reason why. Let's say I've got somebody who just graduated my program as a cloud architect, and they are a rock solid cloud architect. Who are they going to sell their services to? Nobody. Because nobody's going to pay an architect to work alone, and here's the reason why. Architecture takes a team of 30 to 50 people. Now, by comparison, I've been an architect for 25 years. I know chief information officers, chief executive officers, chief technology officers. If I want work, I can say, hey, Billy Bob, how you doing in your business right now? Things going well for you? Now you're going through this challenge. I'm letting you know that I retired from Cisco and I'm looking to do some freelancing. So if you're looking for a cloud consultant, I can help you. But I've got a Rolodex or a contact list of thousands and thousands of people. So if you're going to go freelancing, you either better have a few $1 million worth of marketing budget to go acquire clients through advertising, or you better have a contact list where you can literally call people on the phone and they're decision makers than businesses. So I would recommend you try not to do that. I hate to see people lose money. And I think you're going to need to learn a lot before you can do that.
All right. So yeah, so let's see. Let me see. We had a question earlier, asked for some clarification. Let me find the original. So this one, I'm switching from mechanical engineering and trying to get a role in the cloud. Problem solving skills and want to know what cloud path is best to go down. I'm currently studying for SAA exam. And I asked for clarification. They said they originally wanted to do DevOps, but after watching some of our videos, got interested in cloud engineering.
So we need clarification on what he wants to do.
Just recently signed up for the program. What I was told by others to get into cloud was what you all said. I'm 2 weeks from taking that. Is it worth it?
Well, we need to figure out which thing. So first thing I want to say is, I don't know which program. If you're 2 weeks in our program, please don't take certified solution architect courses.
Yeah.
I want you to train for the job, because when you train for the job, you'll be able to get, we have lots of people getting hired with 0 certifications. Delroy Batt, for example, got a cloud security architect with 0 certifications. Jeffrey West got hired by Kalient with a cloud practitioner certification. Bob Welch got hired recently at a very good job as a cloud security architect with a cloud practitioner. So the key is, first, what job do you want? 2, get the right skills. The certification has nothing to do when you know the technology. It is challenging to do when you don't know what's going on under the hood and you're just memorizing questions and answers and it's meaningless. So the key is, first, get the skills. Bake the cake before you put the icing on the cake. Don't just buy jars and jars and jars of icing and have no cake. So you could also look at the certification as a bow to wrap up on a pretty package. Buy the gift, put it in the box, wrap the box, and then put the certification on there. So the key is, keep that in the back of your mind. Certification is the last thing you do, not the first thing you can do. Now, first you said DevOps, then you said mechanical engineering, then you said DevOps, then you said cloud engineering. We teach cloud architecture. I don't recommend anybody take on a career of cloud engineering right now.
No.
Because I think you're going to see massive cloud engineering layoffs. And I don't see anybody that's going to be hiring cloud engineers for a while. Cloud architects are getting hired every day. So if you're with us and you're taking our cloud architect course, please focus on cloud architecture, not cloud engineering. we're dealing with an economy. There's going to be a lot more layoffs, and they're going to be hiring architects like crazy. And tech, automation, and AR are going to be getting rid of as many cloud engineers as you could possibly think of. There'll still be cloud engineering jobs for the people with good business leadership, soft skills, and things. If you meant the cloud architect, so please take our cloud architect course like you're doing, focus on becoming a great cloud architect, and then 6 months into this program, when you're ready to get hired, then knock out that certification.
Yeah, if you've already paid for that certification, just reschedule it.
Yeah.
But it's, and I've heard a lot of students say this, when you later on, when you've got the competency and you want to quantify it and start towards the certification, reschedule it and give yourself a time frame, like a deadline, so that you actually do it. Because at that point, you'll be like, oh, I've got the competency, I can just keep going, I can move on. But if you want to get that certification, schedule it so that you actually do it. Because if you don't schedule it, it'll never get done. It's a lot of people fall into that trap. If they don't actually put it on the calendar, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Not looking at anybody in particular right now.
So do it, and here's the reason why. Every day you're not working as a cloud architect is costing you $800. So if you spend a month wasting your time for a solution architect certification, which will not get you hired, I promise you, you just lost $16,000. Now, by comparison, if you do our course, chances are there's a good chance you might get hired without the certification. So, but here's the key. Do our course. The certification has nothing to do when you've got the underlying knowledge. You can do it much faster. And then when you're done it'll be poof, you'll start getting interviews, and then you'll have the skills to back it up and get hired. So I want you to get hired sooner. Every day you're not working is costing you a fortune. I don't want to waste any of your time. You're already a student. I would tell you, and I would tell any of my students, bake the cake before you worry about putting icing on it. Don't just put icing on a piece of silver foil or aluminum foil and say, here, eat this.
And it's funny, when the heat is put to the icing, it melts away.
Right.
So that's figuratively. So when the challenge is there and things get really bad and you don't have that competency, people will know. It'll show when people will know.
All right. So will we have a portfolio of work with this course as an architect?
I need to be clear, yo, bro. You're confusing engineering and architecture. Engineers are going to build their Git portfolios and all this other stuff, and it might work. Architects do whiteboarding. Architects do design. You'll have a portfolio of designs that you can talk about. But if you show me that you're an engineer with your engineering work, I'm not going to hire you as an architect. So, and it kind of looks like this. My wife loves cats. Apparently now I do too. I love dogs. I did something stupid. I offended my wife and I wanted to make her happy. So I went to the store to buy a cat. When I went to the cat store, this beautiful golden retriever came up to me, and it was the most beautiful dog I ever saw in my life. And honestly, I would have loved to have taken it home, but I went there with a mission to buy a cat. So I left the golden retriever there and I got the cat because my wife wanted a cat. If you're an architect, you need to show architect things like designs. If you're an engineer, you need to know building portfolio things. So you'll have all the things on your resume that are going to make you shine as an architect, and none of the things that are going to make somebody think you're a different animal. And that's why our results are so good, because you need to be exactly what someone's looking for. In fact, there was a time where I wanted a really elite architect role, and I was a really great engineer. And you know what my manager told me? He said, Mike, you can't take on an architect role. You're an engineer. And I said, what's the difference? And he says, it's je ne sais quoi. It's the leadership. It's this, this, and this. You know what I did? I bought a bunch of fancy suits and pretended I didn't know engineering. 6 months later, I was an architect. So it's about dressing the part, knowing the part, working the part, and being the part. So you'll have all the architect things to talk about that will make you shine and help you get a great job.
All right. And currently, this is the last question. So if anybody has any more questions, let us know in the chat box. But this right now is the last question for now. Will this course help to get to cloud security?
This course will help make it very easy for you to get a cloud security architect job. Now, we've got lots of students getting cloud security architect jobs. They pay $150,000 to $250,000 a year, so that will be easily able to help you with. Now, we won't be teaching you offensive security like an ethical hacker. That's not what we do. We won't be teaching you security engineering, meaning the person that configures the firewall, but we can easily help you get a wonderful cloud security architect job where you design the security protection systems for an organization, determine what the firewalls, IDS, IPS systems need to look like, what the demilitarized zones need to look like, what the remote access situation needs to look like, what the authentication, authorization, accounting needs to look like, what the encryption strategy needs to look like, what the network and layer security needs to look like. And you will learn that. And we've got people like Delroy Batt. Maybe Tyrone could put a picture of Delroy Batt and Robert Welch. Delroy Batt got a cloud security architect, and he never worked in tech before in his life. He had 0 experience. And that was his first tech job. Robert Welch, we also got a great cloud security architect job. And we've got lots of students getting great cloud security jobs from us.
All right. Well, if you've got any more questions, put them in the chat box. But while I wait to see if there's any more questions, I want to remind everybody, and Tyrone just put it in the chat box as well, and I put the banner up on the screen, that we currently have our 50% off discount available on our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. That includes over 500 hours worth of content, and it includes access to 3 live classes for an entire year, roughly 150 live classes. So don't hesitate to take advantage of that. Regularly priced at $24.99, currently available for $12.49 with the 50% discount code. And you can utilize that link there in the chat box. Also, I want to remind everybody about our webinar this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. And on that, we'll discuss about our program, what it takes to become a cloud architect, the things that you need to know to become a cloud architect, what hiring managers are looking for, and all kinds of good stuff to get you going in the right direction. Whether you train with us or on your own, you'll be able to utilize that information that we share there in that webinar. And then on Friday, this Friday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be doing an interview webinar about winning the interview. And we'll be sharing the secrets and information that we've all learned from our careers to win the interview. If you win the interview, you're set up for success. Not just because you get the job, but because you get the job at a higher rate of pay, utilizing the information and the secrets that we share with you. So make sure to take advantage of all of those. I see Rosetta Reno says, I just joined the class today. Good. All right. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Welcome.
To meet him.
Yeah, any last questions, anybody? And Tyrone just put a link to the video for Delroy there in the chat box as well. So hopefully everybody will enjoy that. Delroy was a student of ours, still is, I guess. He comes to but he is a security architect at CDW. Which cloud provider is the hottest in 2023? Andy, all of them.
No, you're going to be the hot one who knows them all under an agnostic umbrella.
Yeah. Pentagon, the Department of Defense is investing $9 billion in multi-cloud strategies. So there's no which provider is the hottest. It's the cloud. There's no that I'm not, from a business solutions perspective and a cloud architecture perspective, there's no which one is the hottest. Just because they're the hottest doesn't mean they're the best.
And actually, let's talk about that for a minute, because I have a few minutes. There is no best technology and there is no best cloud. And anybody that tells you they have a best, you can't work with them or trust them. And here's the reason. I often would ask somebody on an interview, what's the best routing protocol? Or what's the best cloud? And you know what? If they gave me an answer, interview was over. Thank you. And here's why the interview is over. What the best technology is the one that solves your customer's business problems the best. AWS, Azure, and Google are identical. Their features are identical. They're just a cloud. It's a network in a data center that's been virtualized. If Azure gives my patient or my customer 20% cheaper than AWS, they're the best. Or if Azure offers a better service that's part of their proposal, then they're the best. Now, there are some subtle differences. Google, for example, has better machine learning and artificial intelligence than Amazon as a rule, but Google's things are far behind, say, ChatGPT's, which is different. So the point is what's the best technology? Whatever solves your customer's business problem, cheaper than the rest, or whichever gives them the best competitive advantage. So there's no such thing as the best anything or the hottest anything. If there's any, so I just wanted to make sure that we got that across. Kevin, how long does the course take? Until you're hired. And I'm not trying to be flippant. We're not like other people. Other people will sell you a course for $10,000 and they don't care if you get hired or not. We even had one student, Daniel Bose, who paid some company $35,000 for the worst security training in the world. And I had to completely retrain him from scratch, and it took 6 months after our retraining till he got hired. And I've had people get hired in as little as 3 weeks and as many as 13 months, 14 months, but I don't care. You're in our program until you're hired. Now, I can read 1,000 pages a day and remember it. I can get through faster. Some other people can read 100 pages a day and remember it. Most of our content's video, although we still have required reading, but we all learn at different speeds, and we all have a different time in our life, and we all have different levels of being overwhelmed in our life. The key is, it's about probably 500 to 700 hours of training in our program based upon how diligent you are and how much of it you do before you actually get hired. Not many people actually finish our program. Many of them get hired before they have a chance to finish it, but they're completely competent. But however long it takes, it'll be in our course. You get unlimited access to our training. You get access to all the new videos recording, and you get a year inside of our live classes to participate, and you don't need a year. So how long it'll take? 6 to 12 months on average. I've seen people get through as little as 3 weeks, but I've seen some people take longer. All I care is that you get hired. And I know all Chris and Alonzo cares about is you get hired.
All right. So are there any regions in the country hiring more of your students than others?
No.
I think that kind of went out the window with in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
These are roles that don't require you to be in a specific region.
No.
It's just if there's one bright thing about what happened in the past few years, it's that it's made these types of things more flexible for those that are looking for that work, that actually want to do the work. So, all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been another great session. Don't forget to join us on the webinar on Thursday. Look forward to seeing all of you there. And for those of you that enrolled in the program today, we look forward to seeing you in class tomorrow. Again, you're not going to be thrown into the fire. Just come sit by the fire and enjoy the show. So, all right. Have a good day, everybody.
We're going, everyone.
Take care, everybody.